the children of the lie are going out of control. Midterm elections is coming up, and they're going to get worse before it get better. But we got to fight them with good, with truth, and not be afraid. It's not enough to just pray. You got to be a doer of the word, not just a hearer. All right? And when you do that, especially when you overcome that anger, you're going to see the power of love operating through you. And it's so amazing. It will defeat the power, no power of evil. Evil, if it's going to intimidate you with words and stuff, it takes control over you. But if it can't, then you're in control. All right, so JesseLeePeterson.com. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, like, tweet, comment, and all those things. I want to go to Chris, a first-time caller out of New York. New York City. Chris, thank you for calling in. You're on the air.
Jesse Lee, how you doing, my friend?
All is well, Chris. How are you?
Outstanding, man, outstanding. I'm just checking in, keeping it super classy from the GDL. Had a couple of questions. You're talking about the children of the lion. I love that term. I guess I just want to specify because the Holocaust is the biggest lie of our generation. So will you name the Jew as the children of the lie?
Well, I don't know that to be true. That should be you. If you know that to be true and that's your thing, then you should do it.
No, I do, man. And I really respect what you do, my friend. And when you say children of the lie, I get it. And it's almost like an entire generation has based policy and culture on this gigantic lie.
Who are you more concerned about, Chris? The Jews or the Chinese?
The Jews.
Oh, you are? Amazing.
100%, my friend. I mean, when you look at 9/11, when you look at all the Israeli expansion after what happened there, Lucky Larry Silverstein pulling Building 7.
What I recommend, my thing is to rebuild the family by rebuilding the man. And my thing is to encourage...
Who's pushing this degenerate stuff, though, Jesse? I mean, I get it.
Hold on, Chris.
Culture?
Hold on, Chris. And my thing is to encourage people not to be angry, because when you become angry, you become a loser.
No anger. Keeping it classy.
When you become angry, you become a loser. I put him on hold. I didn't hang up. And one mistake that young white men are making, and some young white women, they're going down that same path that blacks have gone, and that is to be angry and blame. And you're going to look back and see that you wasted a lot of life and a lot of time, and you would not have gotten anywhere in life. You're supposed to deal with injustice, but not hate injustice. And too many young white males and females are starting to hate, and they're blaming, and that anger is preventing them from seeing what can happen, because the blacks are perfect example of what happens when you become a victim, or you believe that you are, when you start accusing and blaming others for your downfall. So, and the Mexicans are starting to do the same thing because they're listening to their so-called leaders. You're making a horrible mistake, but it's up to you. That makes sense, Chris?
I really respect what you're... No, it really does. And I respect what you're doing. It's just when you see so much evidence and you start to realize who owns media, Hollywood, who's pushing this culture of division.
But what happened to the white man? It was white people who founded and built the greatest country on this side of heaven, right?
There's no question about it.
What happened to white men that what happened to white men that they allow, if what you're saying is true, what happened to white men? Because that's what blacks are saying about the white people. What happened to
100%.
white people that they allowed the Jews to take over?
You know what? It's funny. I think that it all comes back to the Holocaust and this guilt.
What happened to white people that they blalled that to happen? Blacks blame the whites.
I think we got complacent.
Listen,
Chris.
Chris. Blacks blame the whites for taking away their stuff. The Indians blame the whites. And now the whites are blaming the Jews. So I want to know from you, Chris, what happened to white people that they lost their own country?
I would say Jewish subversion the same way that the
Why didn't
Russians
you
had in
see
the
the
30s,
subversion?
my friend, you know?
Why didn't you see the subversion happening before it happened? Or when it
Well,
first started?
I also think that it's more the baby boomer generation that let it happen. I mean, I'm
No,
I'm
it
just a
didn't
silly
just start.
millennial.
No, it didn't start with the baby boomer. It started before that, if it's true. What happened to you guys that you lost your way?
I don't know, man. It's a very good question, but I think that we have to name the problem, a.k.a. name the Jew, to get to the bottom of it.
Wouldn't it be best to understand that rather than pass this blame game down to the next generation of young white people? Wouldn't it be best to understand what happened?
That has been passed down.
All right, thank you, Chris. Wouldn't it be best to know what happened before you get into blaming generation after generation of Jews? Because you're going to end up in a ditch. You really are. Look at the black people. And he said that's a good question. So the next step should be, okay, let me figure out what happened to us. What did we not see? What were we doing that we didn't see it happening? You don't keep blaming. How do you get past life like that? I'm telling you, if you doubt me, listen and watch the blacks. And even when the whites and others let them into their schools based on color and not character or qualification, they're not getting better. They're only getting worse because they still want more and more and more free stuff. You don't get better in life until you look at you and get over your issue. Every human being who blames someone else for their lack of is a pathetic, weak beta. It's ridiculous. Especially when they go around angry, blaming, especially adults. It's sickening. And especially men. Every man who is angry about what somebody else has done to you is a girl. Just know you are a girl. You're not a man. You're beta. Girly beta. Female beta. So, spoiler alert says, in general, Jews act in their own best interests against the interests of whites. But they successfully pretend to be white people. That's the problem, and that's unfair. Very interesting statement. Spoiler alert. First of all, I want to say, when you say that's unfair, I encourage you to change that mindset, because in life, we get what we need and we get what we deserve. And I want you to know that everything that's happening to you in life is what you need. And so don't call it unfair or a problem, because if you see it and overcome it, it's going to make you make you strong within and insightful, and it's preparing you for the next situation to come. So even when it looks as though people are being wrong toward you or treating you in a bad way, don't name it. Don't call it bad. Don't call it good. Just observe it and overcome it. Don't judge it at all, and it's going to be amazing. But if you call it unfair or they're doing wrong, if they are, let them do wrong, but you overcome it, because it's happening. It's what you need. And that's what I want people to understand. When you come out of that fallen state, you're going to see that, and you knew this as children, by the way, but because you didn't have perfect parents, you didn't see how to stay with it. But when you wake up, you're going to see that everything that happens in your life is exactly what you need. But if you judge it by giving it a name like unfair and all that, you're not going to overcome. All right? So just become a living being, observe and live. It's so amazing. But drop all opinion. If you notice, I'm called Uncle Tom, sellout, coon, all type of vulgar names, falsely accused. See? But because God has brought me out of the fallen state, I observe it, but it's not personal. And so far, I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, but I've been able to just overcome, because these people are giving me what I need to grow. Look at the Great White Hope. The Great White Hope. Look what he is going through. And if anyone could use the term unfair or wrong, it would be him. But he's overcoming. Christ came that we might overcome. So you can see injustice, but don't hate it. Just overcome it. That's all. It's so much fun. Most blacks work against black interests, but pretend to be for them. That's from my producer. James said, most blacks work against blacks' interests, but pretend to be for them. That's true. The Democratic Party, the liberal media, white and black so-called race hustler, black preachers and others, pretend to be working for black people when in reality they're against black people. And they're using that for their own personal gain. They don't have the interest of black people at heart at all. It's personal gain. That's why you got to live and overcome. But thank you, spoiler alert. Good feedback.